Namaste Bitya, Khushro Bitya. Myself, JVN Dr. Barkha Khurana. Today we'll be talking about cerebrospinal fluid, which is a part of curriculum of human physiology, BPD second semester. And it is also important for students of neurology. So let us start with cerebrospinal fluid. It is a fluid that is contained in the central canal of spinal cord, subarachnoid space and cerebral ventricles, and it is a part of extracellular fluid. The normal amount is 150 ml and sometimes it varies between 100 to 200 ml. The rate of production is 500 ml per day, but a large amount of it is absorbed through arachnoid granulations in the suprasagittal sinus. Now we'll discuss about the site of formation of the CSF or cerebrospinal fluid. It is formed by the choroid plexus situated within the ventricles. A large amount is formed in lateral ventricles. Now what these choroid plexus are? These are the tuft of capillary projections present inside the ventricles and are covered by pia mater and ependymal covering. Now how it is formed? What is the mechanism behind it? It is formed in a process of secretion by the choroid plexus. The formation of CSF does not involve any kind of ultrafiltration or dialysis. Instead, with the expenditure of energy, active transport mechanism is involved in the secretion. Now, few substances are responsible that affect the formation of CSF. First is pilocarpine, ether, second, and extracts of pituitary. These stimulate the production of CSF by stimulating the choroid plexus. Injection of isotonic saline also stimulates the formation of CSF. Injection of hypotonic saline causes greater rise in capillary pressure and intracranial pressure or ICP and fall in osmotic pressure. All these factors increase formation of CSF. On the other hand, hypotonic saline reduces the formation of CSF and CSF pressure. The increased ICP or intracranial pressure is reduced by injection of 30 to 35% of sodium chloride or 50% sucrose. Now we'll discuss about the properties of CSF. It is clear, colorless and a transparent fluid. Volume is 150 ml. Rate of formation is 0.3 ml per minute. Specific gravity 1005 and it is alkaline in nature. Now we'll come to the composition. First is water 99.13%, solids 0.87%. Now these solids have both organic and inorganic contents. The organic contents are your proteins, amino acids, sugar, cholesterol, urea, uric acid, creatinine and lactic acid. On the other hand, the inorganic constituents are sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium, chlorides, phosphates, bicarbonates and sulfates. Then after solids, lymphocytes are also present and the volume is 5 lymphocytes per mmQ. The CSF secreted by the ventricles does not contain any cell. The lymphocytes are added in when it is flowing in the spinal cord. Circulation of CSF, which is important for you all to know. From choroid plexus where it is formed and lateral ventricles, it passes to third ventricle via foramen of Monro. From there, it moves to fourth ventricle through aqueductus sylvius. From there, through foramen of Magendie and Lashka, it passes to cisterna magna and cisterna lateralis. And from here, it moves to the spinal subarachnoid space. Now we'll discuss how CSF is absorbed. It is mostly absorbed by the arachnoid villi into dural sinuses and spinal veins. The small amount is absorbed along the perineural spaces into cervical lymphatics and into the perivascular spaces. The mechanism of absorption is by filtration due to pressure gradient between hydrostatic pressure in the subarachnoid space fluid and the pressure that exists in the neural spinous fluid. The colloidal substances pass slowly and crystalloids are absorbed rapidly. Now what exactly the pressure of CSF is? The pressure exerted by CSF in man in recumbent position is 10 to 18 cm or centimeters of H2O. We take it in H2 over here. The pressure in sitting is 30 centimeters of H2O. Coughing and crying increases the pressure by decreasing the absorption. Compression of internal jugular vein raises the pressure of CSF. And CSF pressure ranges from 80 to 100 mm of H2O in newborns and less than 200 mm of H2O in normal children and adults. Now there are different ranges or the limits, maximum and minimum limits of the substances or the solids that are present. Like the lower limit for glucose is 50 mg per dl, whereas the upper limit is 80 mg per dl. For proteins, it is 15, whereas the upper limit is 40 to 45 mg per dl. Now we'll discuss the functions of CSF. First, it maintains a buoyancy. Buoyancy is like the brain is suspended into that CSF, making it very light. Because the mass of human brain is around 1400 grams. But when it is suspended in CSF, it is equivalent to mass of only 25 grams. So the brain therefore exists in neutral buoyancy, which allows the brain to maintain its density without being impaired by its own weight. Because if the weight would have been the same, 1400 grams, it wouldn't have been suspended. This would have cut off blood supply and killed the neurons in the lower sections. Then next is protection. The CSF provides a protective layer or protects the brain tissue from any kind of injury. When something is hit in cases of RTA, road traffic accidents, or sports injuries. Then next is our important one is chemical stability. CSF flows throughout the inner ventricular system and the brain and is absorbed back into the bloodstream, rinsing the metabolic waste from the CNS through blood-brain barrier. And this allows for homeostatic regulation of the distribution of neuroendocrine factors. Then is prevention of brain ischemia. The prevention of brain ischemia is made by decreasing the amount of CSF in the limited space inside the skull. This decreases total intracranial pressure and facilitates blood perfusion. Now, how do we collect the CSF? First is through cisternal puncture and second is our lumbar puncture. Lumbar puncture we'll discuss in other session. If we come to the applied part, an abnormal accumulation of CSF in the skull results in abnormal enlargement of head, and this condition is known as hydrocephalus. Apart from that, the CSF may contain few bacteria or virus or fungus in cases of meningitis. So this is all in your CSF. In next session, we'll study or we'll discuss about lumbar puncture. I hope you understood this lecture well. And if you have any doubts, you can comment in the box. So we end up with this session. And this session is digitally powered by Digital 2.0, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women University. Thank you.